morning of the 2010 Winter Olympics, some Olympians came up to me and they said, "Okay, Noelle, no matter what you do not finish fourth. You can finish fifth, you can finish seventh, you can finish dead last. But unless you're in the top three where you get a medal, do not finish fourth. It's the absolute worst place to finish." I blame them. I finished fourth. I missed an Olympic medal by a tenth of a second. A tenth of a second. You can't even blink that fast. Trust me. I've tried. The most I can get? 7 times. Yep, every time. So it made me think to myself, the tiniest bit of friction kept me from an Olympic medal. Is friction a good thing or a bad thing? Well, I can promise you that when I'm done here today, you'll all know for yourselves the answer to this question. How many of you, by show of hands, know what the sport of skeleton is? Awesome. All right. For those of you that do not know, skeleton is a crazy big sport where we run as fast as we can, dive headfirst onto a little cookie sheet, and we go 80 to 90 miles an hour down a bobsled track with our chin less than an inch off of the ice. We're pretty crazy. Yeah. So do you guys want to see it in person? Thank you. I'm here all day. So, as a mom of 2 kids, I know all about friction. And I know what happens to little knees when a bike crashes and inertia continues to move a little body forward on the pavement. As a small business owner, I know about friction and what happens with revenue, inventory, and sales. And as an Olympian, I know all about friction and how it can cost you an Olympic medal. So close. Simply because my shoelaces were not tucked in. They were dragging the entire way down the track. Yeah, true story. The little loopy part, it was dragging a mile-long track, right? Today, I could tell you countless stories where friction has slowed me down, has brought me down, has held me back, has made me lose, has caused me pain. Or I can share with you my rise to success on a journey filled with friction. Friction is inevitable in our lives, but it's up to each of us. It's up to you, and only you, to determine which way your journey with success or trials will take you. As a rookie, my team and I showed up to a track in Germany that I'd never been to before. Every track in the world is different, and they warned me of the dangers of this track, and they told me how to steer down to get down quickly and safely. At one time, they did happen to mention that if I happened to crash, yeah, they had a lot of faith in me, right? If I happened to crash, I should at all costs avoid the Krankenwagen. That's the first German word I ever learned. It means ambulance. So as I steered my way down this track, hitting every wall in sight, I came into corner 10, and this is a massive curve. And I rose and fell with the pressures, and I was afraid to steer for fear of what friction this track could cause. So as I came to the exit of this corner, I was looking at the roof, and I thought, don't hit the roof. Don't hit the roof. Whack! I hit the roof and I came flying down onto the hard ice beneath me, and my 65-pound sled came crashing down on top of me. I pushed it out in front of me and I slowly came to a stop, and it hurt really, really bad. And in the distance, I could see the paramedics, and it looked like they were running in slow motion. So in my mind, I imagined the theme song to Chariots of Fire. Do you know that one? Da, 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 da. And all I could say was, Nein, Krankenwagen. The critical lesson that I learned this day is, despite your walk in life, where you look is where you'll go. Our lives are shaped by the small choices that we make each and every day, like tucking in my shoelaces. I stared at the wooden roof, and although shifting my gaze to look to where I wanted to go, rather than where I did not want to end up, could have allowed me to finish this course, I was afraid of the friction that this course could ultimately produce. I was scared to look forward. I feared the unknown. How often do we do that in our own lives? I learned the importance of setting goals for myself each and every day in an effort to progress. I learned that it's absolutely critical to recognize my mistakes and my weaknesses in an effort to move forward. We can either face our fears, set goals for ourselves, progress, or we can wait for the Krankenwagen. A few years later, in 2006, I was ranked first in the world and so excited to finally become an Olympian. But at our Olympic trials, I had just finished a training run and I was waiting at the bottom of the track with 4 of my teammates. And as we sat there waiting for a truck to come down and take us back up to the top, we heard a loud noise coming from the finish line. And I turned and I looked over my shoulder, and I could see a 4-man, 1,500-pound bobsled coming towards me at 60 to 70 miles an hour. Immediately, I jumped up to my feet to take a step to get out of the way. And right then, the bobsled hit me from behind. I went flying 25, 30 feet in the air, and I landed on the asphalt. I tried to jump up to my feet to see what had happened, and I fell back to the ground. I could hear my teammates screaming, and I could hear the bobsled screeching on the pavement as it flew past the finish dock, out of the track, and onto the road. And I tried to jump up to my feet again, and I fell back to the ground. And I looked down at my leg to see why I couldn't stand, and my bones were sticking out. My heel was touching my calf, in case you missed the first visual. In a split second, my hopes, my dreams, my expectations, the time away from my husband and my family, it was all for nothing. As I sat in my hospital room, after the doctors inserted a titanium rod down through my knee and some screws in the side, it hit me. My Olympic dream is gone. Tomorrow, my teammates will wake up and go on to compete, and I'll still be sitting here in this hospital room. And right then, a tear started coming down my cheek. And my hospital room door flew open, and my doctor stood there with her clipboard. And she walked in, and she saw this tear, and she said, "Why are you crying?" I'm glad you guys think that's funny, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to say something like, you get hit by a bobsled and see if you cry, okay? I was speechless. So all I could say, I just sat there. And she said, "Why are you crying?" You have 2 choices. You can either look back and be upset and sad and frustrated, or you can choose to move forward. Your leg is broken, and crying won't fix it. Wow. I've always known that I have my agency, my ability to choose. But until she said it in the way that she did, in a moment when I was in my darkest hour, I didn't fully comprehend it. You always have a choice. Do not blame your circumstances for your attitude or allow it to hold you back from becoming who you can become. The choice is yours. Let's fast forward 4 years. And I was an Olympian, yay, and I finished 4th. Oh. And I retired at the ripe old age of 27. Don't you all wish you could do that? It's pretty cool. Yeah, pretty awesome. So after retiring, my husband and I decided we wanted to expand our family, and I had a little baby boy, our second child. I was actually pregnant with our third child, a little baby girl, and we were so excited to welcome her. But at 18 weeks pregnant, in April of 2012, her little heart just stopped beating. No answers could be given. I was healthy, she was healthy, and her heart just stopped. Recently, this happened again, and this time with the baby boy. There's emotional friction. I was a wreck, to say the absolute least, and my heart ached so deeply. We need time to heal, but we have a choice to always look back and be sad and upset and frustrated. We can look to the future and be afraid of what might come or what might never come. Or we can choose to look forward with hope. We can grow from these experiences, and we can learn all that we can. And maybe, just maybe, we experience some of the things we do so that we can be a light and a support for someone else. Knowing that I needed time to heal, my husband approached me and he asked me my thoughts on coming back to compete as a distraction, but only if we could do it as a family. So we did. As a family, we traveled the world together, and I came back to compete with the ability to focus unlike any other year that I'd ever competed in. As I crossed the finish line of the 2014 Winter Olympic Games, I knew I had a choice to make yet again. Over the past 2 years, I had won more gold medals than any other athlete or any other country, for that matter. I could choose to be upset and disappointed with anything except gold. Or I could choose to recognize all of the hard work and the sacrifice and the tears and the joy, the memories, and the people that made this moment possible. Elated with more emotion than I can even describe today, I crossed that finish line and threw my hands in the air, jumping up and down, screaming at the top of my lungs. And I looked into the stands and I could see my family, and I knew that was exactly where I belonged. And I jumped over the barricade up into the stands. It was awesome. It really was. As I reached for my husband and my 2 kids, all I could say was, "We did it. We did it." I finished second. A disappointing result to some. The most memorable and absolutely perfect conclusion of this journey for us. Our lives are filled with friction. Whether in relationships, at home, at school, at work, we have physical friction, emotional and mental friction. But it's those experiences, it's the challenges that you face, it's that friction that shapes us and molds us into who we can become. Friction allows us to go above and beyond our limits and expectations of ourselves to see who we really are and what our potential truly is. Within the sport of skeleton, friction can slow me down. Something as small and seemingly insignificant as a shoelace can completely alter the outcome. Friction can slow me down if I allow it to. Or I can choose to use that friction as traction to propel me forward. I have gained traction in my life from these experiences. I have gained perspective. I never knew how focused I could be or needed to be until I hit that roof in Altenburg, Germany. I never knew the strength and determination I would find as I struggled to make it back from my injury and to finally become an Olympian. Finishing fourth, really fourth again, propelled me forward to compete towards the 2014 Winter Olympic Games with more passion and drive than I knew was possible. And following the loss of our little girl, I learned to appreciate life more than I ever had before. I learned to love deeper, and I learned compassion as I have found that there are many others that have faced similar situations. And there's strength in unity. And winning this. I didn't expect that, but thank you. Thank you. Winning this. Taking second place. Reasserted that my worth and who I am and who I can become is not, nor will it ever be defined by the color of a medal. Friction cannot slow me down. So let me ask you one last time. Is friction a good thing or a bad thing? The answer is up to you. Thank you so much.